Hey, Danny, I'll bring you up right after the intro, about 2, 3 minutes. Todd Medina, SoulogyOneStudios. What's going on here? Democracies, aristocracies, oligarchies, monarchies, hierarchies, presidents and popes. What's the real dope? What's this all about? Faith, hope, doubt? That's all that earth stuff, man. I am a multi-dimensional, high-vibrational, evolutionary being, and I'm tired of hiding it. I am soul. I don't care who or what tried or is trying to deceive us. Call it the devil or another's Messiah, prophet, or God. It's all the same to me. Whoever they are, they can never take our souls, and that's when we came here to learn. From the burn of being wrong, denying who we are, taking orders, lawless laws, a branded existence, but not anymore. I am divinity. Yeah. All right. The power we hold to mold the future, heavenly nirvana. From the inside, present, eternal. It's time to be a bolder flame. The game isn't the same. We are the spirit science synthesis, the action of conscious thought, alignment, transmuting to a living wisdom. Yeah. No longer dreaming the life, I am living the dream. What's happening, everybody? We've got 15 people in the house. These shows resonate with you. Please share. Usually after we have a couple of broadcasts, really get suppressed. So if you would share to your page or to a group, we'd appreciate it if it resonates with you. We're going to bring on our brother, Danny Picard. Just ran into him in Sedona. He did a little piece at the Soul Gathering. Last time we talked to him, he had just gotten back from Egypt. Can you hear me?
I can. Hello, hello.
Oh, we can see you.
Hey.
What's happening?
Not much.
What's
Just
going on?
Post Resonate Festival recovery time.
That's right, man. I felt so bad I had to bail. They were going to give us a Soulogy stage and everything. We just didn't.
Oh,
well, we followed the guidance, and the guidance said get up to this cabin in Northern California, and
beautiful.
so it was that was cool. But so for those of you who don't know, our good friends Jade Lyons and Neil, Christy, a few other people put on a festival, one, first of its kind, in Camp Verde, just south of Sedona. Just this past weekend, and it was a long time in the making, several months in the making, and they made it. And I'm happy to hear that it went off. How was it? Can you tell us what the Resonate Festival was like?
Oh, it was so good. I've never been amongst like so many unicorns at once. It was like a magical playland. It was the music was phenomenal. Perengi, Blue Tech, Random Rab, Desert Dwellers. It was phenomenal, and they were. What was beautiful is that Jason and Christy, who were leading the show, were just so in the flow and chill the entire time. And coming from an old event background myself, like I was really blown away. So the speakers were wonderful.
Well,
everything was just beautiful.
Yeah, it was amazing because they were calm and cool in the days leading up to it. I was there right up until Thursday, I think, or Wednesday or Thursday, and man, they had they had a considerable amount of money they had to come up with just to actually start the show.
Yeah,
and they really couldn't talk about it. They couldn't touch any of the ticket sales, but they were calm and cool, man. They were 5D frequency in action. So
yeah, it was
so totally. Yeah, totally. What a way to start off this last quarter of the year to go to Resonate Fest, and then have the 10-10 Gateway, and then and actually have it end on Sunday night with the full moon.
Absolutely. That full moon was intense.
I bet.
But they still had the Soulogy stage. It was all set up.
They did.
Oh yeah,
Oh man.
absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Damn. Nice.
We love you, man.
Be damned.
No,
Well, I
it's all
realize
good.
sometimes things happen energetically and they don't happen on the linear. I mean, I finally, after years and years, realized that. But yeah, you know what? I know, and I know Jade and Neil know it too, that we're going to reconnect and reconnect. And
Oh,
I wouldn't be
absolutely.
surprised if they are the, I don't know, the originators of the first Soulogy Fest, because I told them that's what I wanted to do. I told them that a year ago.
Hmm.
So we're
Oh,
still
nice.
working on it. It's all cool. So what have you
Very
been
cool.
up to? What's been happening? What's
Oh
going on
man,
in the etheric field? What's happening?
the ethereal
Where do we
realm.
stand?
It's all heart embodiment these days. Everything, just over the last weekend, just watching my own process, but allowing that to unfold. What I'm really tapping into right now is not just, knowing or thinking that I'm divine, but what is it like to walk, breathe, eat, sleep here as a divine being, and to feel that and know that that is safe, and to express these things, and what does that all mean in its entirety, and that everybody has a different aspect of what divinity is. But to the truth that, my brain goes into the origins of creation and sacred geometry and tetragrammaton, and and how that affects with quantum physics and our energetic makeup. And how do we get into our hearts, as of course everybody's talking about that. So it's just, really working. I've been working on, as somebody who, or you know, if we're already perfect, we're already forgiven, we're already loved, then we are divine. So how can we create from that state of being in our fullness and our oneness? And so that's kind of what's been going on in my little brain. But also, accessing, super abundance consciousness in terms of, activating those codes. I actually just did listen to a Syrian activation that I made a long time ago to re-amplify a lot of those things within my heart, to raise the frequency and furthering the heart field. So yeah, so I'm working on that. I've been putting together different programs to assist physicians, nurses, and healthcare providers with um, to assist in what they call physician distress, or but we call it burnout. But anyone really who is going through that burnout, because especially if people are wanting to heal and provide services for other people, and they don't have those tools or abilities to stay in balance while they're doing that, they can achieve that anxiety, the depression. Not only that, with the higher frequencies coming in on top of that, if we have these belief systems that are out of alignment with our heart, then it can really shake up a person's playing field. So as we're hearing with all the ascension symptoms going on, and so it's just a really beautiful time. It's very potent. Every little lesson is just like, it seems like 10 lifetimes of lessons in a very, very short amount of time. And so a lot of the work that I do is, how do we work with the subconscious mind to assist in the embodiment process? If we do have the subconscious mind that works with, 95% of our waking reality, and we have ways to actually um, uh, change its course, to start saying, what if your heart can love itself, and what if your subconscious mind can do all it can to bring your energy back into your space? And how would it feel if you were feeling grounded and present and able to really be in that fullness of your love and your abundance, and be able to create from that space and move forward? And yeah, it was just beautiful, beautiful, amazing things. I'm out here near Sedona now, and everything is coming together like clockwork. It's like it was meant to be, and as that flow, and it's just magic's happening all around me, and all the time. when we were at, we were at Chocolate Tree after the Soulogy event. A little dragonfly landed on the apple I was eating, and it was just like, this is amazing. This is awesome.
Well, we had lunch with Sandra Walter and Isabella Green, and a scarab landed on my nose. A metallic green scarab landed on my nose. Sandra videoed it. The very end of it, the last 15 seconds. And I love this because, well, you said quite a bit there. But what jumps out to me is with your words and the energy of your words is basically reflective of the people that I resonate with, which is you're focused on your individual experience.
Mm-hmm.
You're focused on enhancing your experience, expanding yourself. You're cognizant of the energies. You're aware of triggers. You've got processes, a tool belt to it's part of your practitionership, but it's also part of your way of being. We don't hear about this stuff on the mainstream media. We don't hear about it in the alt news media.
No.
We don't hear about it in the disclosure camps and conspiracy camps. We really don't.
Yeah.
I just had a little to do with a guy, with a beloved brother, that I don't know what happened. He said he got blocked on the show that was on before, and he sent me an interesting note. And it was all about, there is a battle between dark and light here, and Q is everywhere. And I'm not making fun of the brother or nothing. I'm just trying to make a point. And that point is, I don't resonate with these external storylines. I don't resonate with the salvation program. I don't even resonate with the ascension program. Because I don't know. Could it be a program? I mean, we're not dealing with what we've thought we were dealing with here. So my point is, what I do resonate with is I am soul, because I know in any dimension and any timeline, I can stand in my sovereignty. That doesn't mean that somebody can't physically take me out, but my soul continues on. My soul is the rudder, my soul is the steering wheel too. I mean, and, so I love the fact that there's people out there that are coming out more and more every day, like yourself, not only teaching tools for the tool belt, modalities and processes, but also living and being that consciously aware human hybrid soul who cannot be owned by anything or anyone external, who is in itself the purest creation seed and sovereignty itself. So, I'm just, tickled to death to be talking to you, and you're reflecting like that.
Oh, thank you.
Fits my mood right now. So.
Well, and it's, going with what you said, it's like, so, you think about the past, societal conditions have taught us to seek outside of ourselves for our own sense of worth and validation and all these different things. And what we're really starting to learn, as the consciousness is increasing, is that we have to really kind of put the brakes on that. And it's really difficult with all the social media and all these different things. And, because your energy follows your thoughts create reality. A repetitive thought becomes a belief. And if your beliefs are totally built upon, hey, Snapchat is where I get my soul from, then that's going to be an issue, and that's going to cause a little bit more inner turmoil with these, incoming, high frequencies and whatnot, because all of the energy of this awakening process within all of our divine hearts is coming inward,
Yeah.
So if we're directing a flow outside, and, so it's, this is why I do so much self-care on myself, because it's like helping people, it's very easy for me to move out of my boundaries, out of my energetic boundaries. And then all of a sudden I'm lost in everybody else's, chaos. So, I don't like that.
No. Well, I think that's one thing we're learning though. I think that's one thing we're learning is, and we got into this conversation, I think last night on the show, I don't remember, but But Morgan and I were talking about it as we are taking things into ourselves and being responsible for our experience, but also looking at it from in this transition. You know, you've got the human aspect who gets triggered and has, you know, they have that has one set of feelings or reactions or response or whatever, and you have the conscious human who's like, okay, hang on a second, just breathe, don't do anything, don't say anything. So that's just an example. But what I'm talking about is it coming down to a choice. And so we were talking last night, we're like, okay, so the so and so like copied some stuff and, you know, basically put it out as their own. And what do? Well, at the end of the day, you might you know, for your own you know, your own power, your own whatever you want to call it, you might say to that person, hey, you know what, I did that, you know, I wrote that or whatever.
Right, right.
No offense, but I just want to say, you know, here I am. And you go on down the road and you leave it there. Or you have situations where, you know, like you're talking about the drama, you know, we have people talking about saying this or saying that and to somebody else, and then they get mad at you or they don't want to talk to you or be your friend. Again, this is just a story, and that's not about them, it's about me. And what do I do? Well, you know what? It looks like, and this is what I think you're saying, is we're moving to the heart, which is basically not exactly comfortable to the human aspect that stands alone. But you say, you know what? That's not in my world anymore.
Yeah.
You know, if I did anything, obviously I've got compassion, you know, but here's the thing. My intentions are pure. My intentions weren't to hurt anyone. My intention is not going to be to dwell on any of this. My intention is to continue to self expansion because it seems to be directly linked to the collective experience itself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what's really cool is that we can actually move beyond these triggers. And you know, because a lot of those triggers are in fact subconscious programs and habits of behavior, how we've learned.
Yeah.
And you know, this is why I've been you know, as an empathic individual or whatever, you know, we are often processing a lot of what everybody else is. When I share videos and go live, I wake up in the morning because there's some, you know, something that's going on that I'm processing. I know it's not mine, but I know by sharing it, other people will benefit in that growth. You know, you know, being able to see through the eyes of going, oh my gosh, just the healing alone from I'm not alone is huge. And you know, and that's what's so beautiful. Like that connects our hearts so much. And just that communicating and going, hey, it's okay. And one of the big things that I realized the other day is, you know, I realized that when I was young, I was shown as a child that emotions were dangerous. So, and, you know, through the eyes of a child, you see the intensity of such emotions around you in whatever environment. It doesn't matter if you're mom or dad or brother or sister, or if you're an abusive or whatever. But if you're seeing, you know, emotions be presented in a dangerous way, as a person who is energetically sensitive, it's almost like the core origin of the healer path in the physical realm. We of course signed up for this, but if you could imagine, if you knew that emotions were safe all throughout your childhood, all the way on, wouldn't it be so easy just to sit here in your presence and hold space for somebody who's processing?
Yeah.
You know, without having to leap
yourself.
into their field. And seriously, that, you know, and you know, the importance of heart coherence and that mind bound, you know, when we're fully present, heart coherence, Heart Math Institute has been studying this stuff for 30 years or so. McCready over there. I love the science techno, you know, integration of all the heart work. You know, they've been studying this that, you know, when we actually attune and, you know, move into the heart center, we actually align and harmonize with the energies of the earth and the cosmos. And, you know, through Nassim Haramein's work with the mathematics of bringing that information, you know, there's no separation on that factor, mathematically proven, Bruce Lipton, all these different things. But when we can actually go into the heart, and so what I've been trying to do is, what if we were able to also set our subconscious habits to also assist to also assist in allowing you to stay in that present state, to know that your divine worth is in an acknowledgement of you being able to tap into that love frequency. And what if eventually we can get to that space where we're not triggered, where we are just that infinite love and holding space in that always, so where you can actually just be walking through the grocery store and you leave a little glitter dust, behind you, or
Yeah,
then scarabs
exactly.
land on, you and me are hanging out, sharing backpacks, and scarabs land on your nose, and birds land on my finger, and we're singing like Disney songs, like that's kind of what I'm starting to see, that this whole,
You're right. I mean, isn't that
it's
the truth?
magical.
I mean, we just had Broder Bilal on a while ago, and yeah, what such an incredible person to talk to, because and blessings are burdens and burdens are blessings. I mean, he is so connected in getting such specificity in his experience and his devotion, his loyalty, and all these things we can relate to. But it's so interesting to see all these different experiences and perspectives. But he was talking about his own story, which to me was really the collective story. And he was just talking about how he had created a portal. And he just said, right here next to my bed, I created a portal. And I've done all this work. Last time he was on, he did something in that portal for me when I was in Hawaii, and I remember it very distinctly, and had an experience that correlated with it, unknowing to me that he had done that. But my point is that, and I said to him, I said, so, and because he also had a lot of information in regard to the mechanics of the machine, and I'm talking third dimension, fourth dimension, fifth dimension, higher aspects involvement, somewhere in the physicality, but not our physicality, but this side of the hand of God, let's say, and from our side of the physicality. And I said to him, well, it sounds to me like that, because he said at one point, I don't operate from a frequency of there is dark and there is light, and I thought, wow, okay. So you know what? I mean, oneness is oneness. You know what I mean? So like oneness is oneness. And so I was like, so what I'm getting from it is that, first of all, whatever you can do, I can do. Consciously or unconsciously, we're all doing it. I can create a portal. Danny can create a portal. We can all create. What is more important than to go into that laboratory, that portal that we can create from right where we sit, and fueled by our imagination, from our purest intention and purest desire to serve the collective and expand the universe. What can be more important than that?
Right.
And I'm just baffled today, as we head into 2020 with the focus that's that with the energy that's being presented, that can distract and distort our focus and take it away from ourselves. And I'm talking about the movie script, the storyline out there in the global stage and such. I just find it refreshing with what you opened up with, because I'm meeting more and more people who are not saying that doesn't exist. They're just saying, hey, that's not in my experience.
Yeah.
I'm in the new earth and that doesn't exist there. I don't have to know how all this works. I'm going to hold this vibration and hold my trajectory. So it's refreshing to hear more and more people talking like you.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes I try not to get hard on myself, but I still have a little voice that likes to nitpick, and I'll spend the majority of my days, and I call it in research and development, where I'm creating, integrating new sessions for myself and using myself as a guinea pig, with how can I integrate neurolinguistic programming, rewriting subconscious programs, but also how can we really, really, really give the heart, the body, all the different resources that the mind has perceived that we do not have through different past situations. How can we recreate that to know that we are completely full, so we can live in a very, very natural state of abundance where everything is that oneness, with what you were saying, that gentleman was saying. I very, very much resonate with that. I never talk about demons. I realized that a long time ago that in my mind, what was perceived to be an entity was another way for me to look at myself and how can I bring in my power back into myself, and so I've never allowed, I try not to allow other things to, take away my power willingly. And, but that comes from like an accountability factor. And I learned that, okay, if I need to create change in my own life, I need to be the one that does it. And so that's why I've created, all these different tools. And like I said, the session that I listened to beforehand, it was really awesome. It was almost like my higher self made it for me to listen to
That was
today.
that was Abundance Codes. Abundance
No,
Codes.
this
Is that what it
was
was?
the one that I listened to today was Syrian activation, and Syrian activation. I know that I have Syrian lineage, and so, but in this, it was all about reactivating that wisdom within my heart and really feeling completely safe about, explaining the divine consciousness to people, and that it's okay to do that. And for a while, I actually forgot about my divinity. I forgot that I am a divine being, and I started going like this. Oh yeah, it wasn't cute. And
Isn't that something though? Isn't that, we were talking about that, and I get mixed up on the shows, but isn't that something though? I mean, you, myself, everybody here, in one way or the other, however we look at that, because we're still in this transition, we tend to compare, oh, Danny can do this and I can, Todd can do that and I can, you can do this and whatever. But, so we get these downloads, we get these channelings, get these transmissions, we get these sparks of genius and create some kind of incredible piece of art that has no words and speaks to people. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you have these aha moments. And the real aha moments, which mostly have come by ourselves alone, but are now starting to be shared, like in forums like this and conversations or gatherings like Resonate or the Soul Gathering we had in Sedona. But the aha moments come from that human holding his ass in his hand, going, "Hey, wait a minute, that's I'm Todd Medina. Yes, I'm this incarnation. I'm all these things, but I'm not just Todd, So because there's a huge difference there, and I love what you said about at the beginning of the show, at the top of the show, talking about being a divine human being. Being a divine human being. I mean, this is decided in that place you described a minute ago, in the space between the ears. I mean, that's the only battle there is.
It really is.
And like you said,
it really is.
It really is. I mean, so do we believe we're divinity, I am soul, or do we not? There is no in between. You can't be like 99.9%. Okay, I'm all right. I got it. And you can't. It's all or nothing. And I see a lot of people taking that brave, courageous step across the line into what is an unknown.
Absolutely. Well, and there's so much deep religious programming. There's so much deep, aspects of philosophical programming that, I was raised without any religious upbringing whatsoever. And I was always a very philosophical person. But it's like, within the heart, there is a soul. And to recognize the soul has the most impressive amounts of potential that one can ever fathom. How do we access that? But then in order to do that and to come to the aspect of that we are of divine nature and that we are in fact all divine, we have to move away from that old programming that God or spirit is something other than us, that we are in fact that. And so there's that separation that's dissolving on the collective. And the more we talk about this and the more that people get led into their hearts, and here's the thing, if you think of it being really warm outside, an ice cube's going to melt. Okay, so if you're that ice cube and then here we have the collective consciousness, these energies coming in of such high loving frequency. It's going to basically cause that to start shifting. We're being forced into shifting into thinking, oh, wait, me thinking I'm not good enough, me thinking that my power is outside of myself, me thinking that all these different things, it doesn't matter if it's, a deity, a cell phone, or your Macy's card that gives you your power outside of you. It's actually like those are the beliefs and the programs that are being reworked and restructured. And there's a point that we have to, some people are going to have to go through and go, maybe I have to go in here and figure that out. And that's really where the current's, heading for everybody. And so, when we get in there, you start finding some real cool stuff's going on. And that's when you find out there's no loneliness in there. You're not getting triggered as often. You're having good days all the time. You're infinitely abundant in the flow. Magical bugs land on your face. But, and this is why, like I always talk about, inside the heart is a really, really magical place. I see a giant, beautiful disco ball fractalizing like rainbow light everywhere. And, and I'm like, man, that's pretty psychedelic. I had a girl come up to me at the end of the festival, and she said, you should eat some avocado fat or some coconut oil. And I said, why? She says, did you take psychedelics last night? And I'm like, no, I'm just always like this. I'm like a walking DMT molecule. It's like, it's when you start seeing, all these things, and we have the ability to raise our frequency into seeing through the eyes of these new realities where, you're not focusing on the news, you're not focusing on the pain, you're focusing on, hey, wait, I have always been enough. How can I create from that space of knowing that I am enough? What if all of our healing, in fact, is becoming overdone because there's actually deep down at the heart, we have always been enough, and now we have the freedom to create and play. And so, how can we start moving into that new habit of joy? It's not, forgetting things. In my journey and with my clients, I've noticed that, people who come to me for assistance, they're trying to figure out, how do I release this pain? They don't want to go talk about it and, re-feel it for another 100 years. Their soul is like basically trying to figure out, how do I release and move on? And Buckminster Fuller even says, if you want to create, if you want to heal the past, it's not by focusing on the past, it's by creating that new paradigm. And this is what we're doing on a collective scale. So as we're doing this modeling and, and going, okay, cool, I don't need to like always go, because when we're looking at what needs to be fixed, that's telling the body and the soul that something is broken, and I had to go through that lesson again. And I hope I don't have to go through it again, but I may, and hopefully I learn faster, and that's mastery. And, what would it be like to know that actually by moving forward in our lives and going as a person who is enough, as a person who is divine, what is it that I have that loving right to create and to explore, and what goals do I want to achieve to allow me to be more of a fully magnificent version of myself, so I can, expand and be more of that. And, different people are on different scales. I knew that I wanted to achieve this a long time ago, and that wasn't going to happen with a whiskey bottle and 8 ball of cocaine. And, and that's where my journey
would be kind of difficult.
Yeah, I wanted to heal the world and drink and do all the blow known to man. And that was just like, you can't do that. And it's funny watching my evolution now that it's getting to the point where it's so refined that if I have thought that, like a nitpicky, being hard on yourself thought, that's the irritating mosquito in the room these days. It's not the bottle of whiskey, but it's funny how watching how the evolution has occurred. So
you talk about, and this is interesting too, because I think this is part of the old but new vocation of energy healers, energy practitioners. People come in, they want to release the pain and the suffering. I like how you put it, the soul wants to release it because the soul is blocked by it, which is the human blocking it, or however you want to put it. But we can actually transform the energy of these memories and experiences and traumas and such. We can actually transform them through different processes and modalities, utilizing
Absolutely.
different aspects, I guess, of the universe. You mentioned sacred geometry. You mentioned deities. I mean, you mentioned a few different things. We can talk about star family. We can talk about, but the bottom line is that what you're saying and doing, and many others stepping forward now that have like you've been doing it for years, is that this energy doesn't have to, we don't have to sit on a couch and talk to a psychiatrist or a psychologist for hours and hours reliving these stories and all the pain and suffering and somatic memory that comes with it. We can actually go in and say, I want to clear this.
Yeah.
And pull in the higher self, or pull in a star family consort, or pull in a deity, or pull up some sacred geometry, or pull up the energy of the memory itself, and actually integrate with it. And the only thing that there is, and that's the pure consciousness of love, basically.
Yeah.
So so do you have like a go-to for Danny and or client in terms of clearing something that's, and we all have that, we all have that one person that we can't seem to get to that pure oneness with, or that one event that we can't seem to get rid of all the victimhood out of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a go-to process that you have, and or one that that seems to work well with your clients?
Saint Germain.
Saint Germain. Oh, that's good stuff. Yeah.
Alchemy.
Ah,
Alchemy. So here's the thing, is that what alchemy does, and this is alchemy, I know Jason Estes has talked about a lot. We are moving through these, accessing, different alchemical processes. If I get stuck, or if I don't know what's going on, I always go back to alchemy in terms of violet flame decrees. I've been making hypnotherapy sessions with different rays of alchemization for years, and integrating many all at once. You got the light on you, buddy. But in terms of what it does, it's not that, many people probably already know what it is, but for those that don't know, it lifts any lower fear-based linear thoughts, and basically aligns it with the light of your heart and with Christ consciousness. So it basically dissolves that aspect. So when I was having a really tough time when I first quit doing all the partying, I listened to Violet Flame Decrees every day for 2 weeks. And then I realized 2 weeks later, wow, there wasn't a negative thought in my head. Like, what just happened? What, So, I have a person who I work with who is, she's my psychic advisor. She helps me stay on track. She helps me look at things in a different way from, she helps me save time, but I process things very quickly. So it's kind of like she helps me, de-riddle myself if I get too caught up. And, but there's a lot of, let's see, hypnotherapy, I think, is such a profound, wonderful way to assist people. And I think that a lot of people may have, had a lot of, perhaps negative connotations with it in the past, with people getting on stage and quacking like a duck. But really what it is about is allowing those stories, the stories that are always repeating in your mind, and your habits that are always repeating. What if we can shift those habits into new? It just makes everything so much easier. Some people that I revert to on some occasion, Paul McKenna, Michael Seeley, you can find on YouTube as well. And there's some really great things about that, because it really is just all about changing the perception to release those old wounds. And neurolinguistic programming is a wonderful technique as well, especially with timeline clearings. I've been basically, if somebody comes to me with anxiety and I say, okay, cool, we're going to give you the attunement, which is going to cause the programs to defragment. But then we're also going to go into a timeline clearing. We're going to go very first time where you experience anxiety. And then what resources would you have needed in that time? And then you're going to give yourself those resources. And then I take that list of resources that they gave me, then we weave it into a hypnotherapy session. So they're getting basically 1, 2, 3 punches to completely annihilate and clear any perception of the need to be in a state of fear, to experience that fight or flight situation, which of course, if we're operating from that fight or flight, we're not really creating. We're in that victimhood. So how do we move up and rise above that? And the anxiety stuff these days is huge for people, and nobody really knows how, simple processes go about doing that. And that's what I've been doing for a while, and it's beautiful work, because the minute that you pull that one Tetris piece out, everything else just goes.
That's when the is that defragging or refragging?
Yeah, right.
I mean, well, no, I'm serious. Yeah, I heard a great explanation from Morgan a couple of days ago. She was talking to somebody, but I can't remember what it was specifically. But it was like something like you're carrying a tray of food, like a waiter would,
Mm-hmm.
and everything hits the ground, right? The defragging part, or I don't know if it's defragging or refragging, but is picking up all the pieces and putting them back on the tray in the order they were originally in. So it's like we had maybe that's the way to put it too, is the original DNA or the original blueprint. And
Totally.
you had all this stuff come in, and there were alterations made by whatever means, whatever it was. It doesn't even matter. What matters is that you have the ability to break through, communicate, transform, alchemize, and
Absolutely.
reconstruct,
And we can
which
do
I
that.
have to believe.
Oh, I was going to say, and we can do that with sacred geometry. We could do that with sacred geometric, reharmonizing, and it dissolves all, like even on a more quantum level. And that's, it's so sexy. It's like the coolest thing to realize, like when we can do that, it's like, whoa,
Well, what's so great about, to me, about the processes and modalities and methods is that we've all heard of the placebo effect, maybe in a less than positive manner when it comes to the traditional 3D medical industry. But there is a cosmic placebo effect that we've all experienced in our lives. Like, for instance, an athletic feat or a vocational feat where nobody told you that no one's ever done that, and you walk up to the plate and you hit one out of the park, and then everybody tells you, hey, no one's ever done that, and then you can't do it again. Right? So it's what I'm getting at is like, it's like the placebo effect, for lack of a better word, in that we're so powerful, and we realize this now because we're becoming conscious creators, because we know unconsciously we created all this. But the power of believing in something, you went to Jermaine, I went to another essence, there's in a lot of things I've used in my life, even before the wake up 8 years ago, the big wake up, I guess. I went from one, I used it for 2-3 years, and then I go to another one, and then to another one.
Absolutely.
And sometimes I'll still call on certain processes or methods, but it's the belief, not so much in what it is, but in the energy of it all, which is really ourselves, in our own ability to be an active participant and facilitator in that actually happening within ourselves. This is the new science of old.
It really is. And, I've always felt that I was, I'm a part of the new medical system, and I really, really, I have so many ideas, and I've been doing this research for such a long time. no, I'm not a doctor. No, I don't have a degree. No, I don't, I have a passion. And this is also like encrypted in my DNA and my soul, and what I wanted to say, what you're saying is, when we go through, finding different tools and modalities that resonate with us, it's because of your soul path. And, and if it doesn't, if one modality doesn't resonate, it's not because it sucks or you're not a good person. It's because you're of a different lineage that's here to learn something else. So by you cracking the codes in something else, you're going to be able to share to a whole different community than somebody else would, you know.
Yeah.
So, I can get a little brainy and psychological, but then also at the same time, I have like Metatron and the Kabbalah over my left shoulder, so,
See,
but
and that's crazy because a lot of people have come on here, and this is just a sidebar issue, but it actually serves your point. Uh, I I think this is Metatron, isn't
you
it?
damn straight is.
Okay. So this is wisdomware. This is wisdomware.org. Amir Beth out in Kauai does these. If you have any questions, direct them to her. But no, but I've had so many of my friends and acquaintances or whatever talk about Metatron. I
Mhm.
mean, Amir Beth is huge on Metatron. That's her. That's
Yeah.
like she said. That's my boy. But I've never had I've never had a Metatron experience. I've had many other different consciousnesses, and I wonder about that stuff sometimes. And at the end of the day, I guess it's like you said, whatever resonates with you, for whatever reason that it registers with you.
Mhm.
There's a reason for it,
Yeah.
and it's really just the same energy. I might call it Soulogy. It's the same chi, life force, kundalini, whatever. It's just another name or even another face of the only thing there is.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how all that stuff works. I kind of believe that. I wonder what your thoughts are. I believe that, like, okay, so as Todd Medina or Danny Picard, we are kind of like the central station of our multidimensionality, and we have a finite, well, in the physical, I guess we have a finite existence. In the energetic, the Danny Picard will run in perpetuity. Like, so it's like we can leave an imprint, and that imprint can grow and grow and grow and grow. And I just think that's kind of how it works, and it never stops, even though it's
Yeah.
just a small part of our multidimensionality. I don't know. What do you
Well,
think?
and that is Metatron. That
That's
is
Metatron.
everything is actually Metatron. He who stands beside creator. He is divine architecture. He is sacred geometry. In the quantum field, in all quantum aspects of creation are these sacred geometric shapes stemming from the tetragrammaton, the 72 names of God, and moving and evolving into the tree of life. But it is the perfection of those shapes and how it all fits together. And it is also the energy of potential. So when we're talking about the energy of potential, that is Metatron. It's expansion. It's that is what that energy is. Now, in terms of somebody saying, "Oh my gosh, it's a flying thing that's landing on my shoulder," it must be Metatron. I don't get that, but I feel it in my body. I feel it.
Yeah.
I work very closely with them, and it really is the alignment to that of source, to dissolving that aspect of the separation. He really is that aspect of the ascension process from, and we're going into Thoth, as we met, talking about Egypt. Metatron is closely linked to Thoth, Hermes, Enoch, etc. But moving with, think about it, it's all light codings. It's all about geometries. It's all about those numerical perfections that are, the science is coming out with them and discovering them within science. Dr. Moto's water experiments. So, it's everywhere. It's in every cell of our body. So if we're in a state of fear, your body is going to be harmonizing on that level, and it's going to cause stress on the body, and you're going to age faster. Now, if we're actually moving in a state of divine alignment and being in our hearts and centered and not triggered by anything, and that's like, great, there's life and we're humans, we're having the human experience. But if we can also be in that state of loving ourselves fully and completely, accepting and embracing all that we are, and allowing ourselves to move past fear, obstacles, any sort of, road bumps, asking, what is my highest purpose? Like, ask, what is your highest purpose? And what is your highest purpose? And all that energy, all that potential is going to come in. And it's that highest excitement, that highest passion that we start accessing, that's going to fuel the world, to just the universe, to just start giving you everything that you need. And so I think that,
what is that? What is that? And I just the book, The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho.
Paul Coelho, or
Coelho. Yeah, and, but there's that line in I don't have the first part down, but the last part I do, and it's something like, in other words, whatever your dream is, state your dream, state what it is, and the universe will conspire to make that happen. And that's what you're talking about. And it's, I think that one of the things that, of course, like if you go back to the Bible, and I've not read the whole Bible. I mean, I've read parts of it, the Quran, the Torah and stuff, but that whole statement about asking you will receive, knock and the door will be open. There seems to be, unrefutable evidence in all of our personal experiences, no matter what we were pleading to, that when we ask for assistance, we get it.
Yeah.
And it's almost like something was built in us, kind of like you said about the emotion thing, not being susceptible to your emotions. That's the way you were conditioned. It's almost like something's inside of us too, especially the men. Like, you can't ask for help. Like you got to be on your knees and and just at the very bottom of the barrel. But there's something about there's something about reaching out and asking for help. And it seems to even be more pronounced now, like I want to say in the last year, where we're really getting this almost instant and verifiable, reciprocation from the universe.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like immediate. And a lot of it seems to stem from what you brought up a minute ago too, is that when we step through these fears, which I got to ask you on a personal level. Like, I know you were living in Portland. I know you went to Egypt. Now you're out there near Sedona. I'm not saying that you got it, everything's perfect and all that, but you're moving around and you're doing your thing. And I gotta believe, and I never did a lot of cocaine. I never did a lot of cocaine because I never liked it. I'm too hyper, but I had a lot of friends that did. So I have to know that you came from a certain lifestyle that I can identify with. You didn't just flip a switch and become Danny today, that, in the in-between time. So there was an evolution, everything. How has your journey been? Where's it at now? How's the flow? What can you tell us about, what through your own experience, not necessarily how to, but just what's worked for you, or, what hasn't, that type of thing.
Absolutely. So after let's see, and I'm really glad you asked me this, because I've been looking at this and I'm like, oh man, people probably think that I have no idea what the hell I'm doing, as I'm floating around everywhere. But really what my process and what was going on was, I stopped connecting to the earth for a while. I stopped being present. And when I did that, I started following other people's dreams. And that's when the confusion set in. That's when I moved in this big old fancy house and I'm like, yeah, I made it. But then I just got so depressed. I got really, really depressed. I got to the point of apathy where nothing had any meaning whatsoever. It scared the holy crap out of me. I've never experienced that in my life. It was also a time period of there was a lot of different integrations from being in Egypt that was associated with all this stuff, and I'm like, whoa, I don't know what's going on. And Portland was always a safe space for me. I was doing a retreat at Harbin Hot Springs, and Harbin burnt down 2 weeks before the event I was throwing there, a while back, and so that put me back into Portland. It had always been there. So I kind of got used to that safety blanket of Portland being Portland for me. But also as a, soberish gay male who does the spiritual work and whatnot, I didn't really find a lot of connections, and I felt very alone. I didn't feel like I belonged, and I kept just trying to sludge through the day, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And that's when I packed up my car and went on a road trip, and that's how I found where I am now. And that was really what Egypt kind of was the ignition switch for all of that. And just I landed, and of course I landed at this property called Heaven on Earth. The owners' names are Happy and Free. They're beautiful, wonderful people. They used to throw the Raw Food Spirit Festival, and he used to speak about sovereignty in the 80s. And so it's just like way too synchronistic. And we have conversations where I'm heard and nurtured and vice versa. And it's like a family. And I feel at home, especially after this event this last weekend. I've just been very, very embraced out here. I feel like I'm not the weird Wally. And, there was an aspect to what was going on that was causing me to feel out of place. So, now things, I just feel things ramping up, but it's because I'm actually going, I'm bringing the importance of me back into the equation. I had to go way off track in order to realize, what contrast I needed to get to. I call it the kind of the slingshot effect. And, it's
like
never
being
a fun
shot
one.
out of a cannon. No, it's like being shot out of a cannon.
Absolutely.
You get shot out of a cannon, everybody can see you, and the charge, the blast was so hard it blew your underwear off, and you're not only flying through the air, but you're buck naked.
But what you've done is you've gained momentum.
That's right. That's what I love that you said that, because in my journey, which is, I'm not going to get into it all, but I've always noticed that when I put energy out with the proper intention, it might be a flawed production or whatever that might happen, something does come from it. But I'm also seeing, as we've gone into this year, that things seem to be calming down.
Yeah.
Like there's not these erratic pushes, we're like, oh my God, I got to do something, I got to make a drastic change. It's more of like, pack your bags and go across the country.
Yeah, totally.
And even though that's like a huge kind of thing, you're like, okay, well, this, it just it's not as bumpy, I guess. Before we head out the door, I want to, just a couple of things. I want to make sure, one, to leave open to you if you want to do any type of activation or blessing or whatever resonates with you, and that's, I'm not attached. And two, maybe well, it's all really the same thing, in any, even some further commentary, I would say, as these things stand now, in this here and now, in your space, where you're coming from, what have you gleaned from it? What advice, what rules of the road could you kind of give us as we continue on? So any and all of the above of what I just mentioned.
Totally.
It's your floor.
Let's see. First, I wanted to touch on that last thing you said about, seems like things are kind of leveling out a little bit. And that's because people are choosing to actually accept that they're worthy of their own love. As we choose to accept that we're worthy of our own love, all this goes away, because we become more aligned. Okay. But now also, I have so many friends contacting me saying, I want to sell all my stuff and buy a van. And it's so funny how, like, so many people are like, wait, I'm in the wrong career. I need to switch. something's, that contrast of, wait, how am I living my life versus, according to others' views and moms and dads' expectations versus, what does my heart really want to experience? So many people are really, really, really stepping into that right now. And it's so awesome. My advice to everything, go get in that damn car and fly. Go, 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 go. Go see a part of the country you've never seen before. Go experience yourself by yourself. Go be that brave. Go be that courageous. Defy all of societal odds, because all those societal odds are breaking away anyway. So, and as you do this, you grant permission for other people to do it. And as you grant permission to other people to do it, it's like a domino effect. A nice little thing, if we have time, I would love people to just close their eyes and just real simply say hello to your heart. And as you just simply say hello to your heart, you can just know that you are automatically forgiven just by you being you right here, right now, within your heart and within your entire life, within this entire consciousness of who you are, the frequency of who you are. You are a divine being. You always have, you always will be. And within that heart, you can ask yourself, what is that highest potential? What is your highest potential? And as you ask that, the answers are already being formed, especially since it's in your heart, with your true acceptance of who you are. Just imagine a little triangle within your heart, that triangle forming into the Star of David patterning, into the Tetragrammaton, and start expanding into all the sacred geometries of your natural divine self. As you, as source, as a living being here on this earth, you decide to be here. Doesn't matter what lineage, what star family, whatever. It is this heart consciousness that you are accessing, and you have that access to all the time, that we can create with pure intention and light to move forward and to create and expand in loving, beautiful ways to create that new reality that no longer reflects that pain of the past. And in doing so, granting more permissions by being in your heart and getting in that car, expanding and allowing your heart to really, really just be curious. What levels and what capacities of magic and beauty are inside of your heart, not the heart of others, your heart. And as you allow those answers to kind of start formulating, just allow your heart to just breathe into that heart and connecting to the earth. Allowing that heart and the mind can think thoughts that cater to the heart's loving more. And the heart can love more of what the mind thinks, and it becomes harmonized, balanced as you breathe into your heart. And as you do this, just bring your awareness to the earth. Say, hello, I'm here to be a steward. I'm here to be an anchor of this light within my heart, of this heaven on earth at this time. Guide me. Forgive me. Allow me to be me. So.
Righteous.
Hopefully that should give somebody
very good, man,
to chew on a little bit. But
you got any plans in the near future? You heading anywhere in particular?
No, I'm focusing on getting a couple of books written right now.
Wow.
I'm working on a couple of books, a nice, happy, feel good book, and then we're going to be doing a, all of consciousness, remembering your divinity type of book. And I have a workshop coming up on the 26th of October, and that is how to activate your magical awakening. Not just an awakening, but your magical awakening. And this is all going into the heart and leading people into the heart through alchemical hypnotherapy, and a nice little discussion. But also, if you could be in your heart, imagine what would that be like? What would your reality be like? And I'm just, so I'm just flowing with that. Still doing the coaching and assisting people who really want to tap into living their dreams and trying to figure it out, and giving them the tools on how to do so. And I'm just kind of doing some more research and development on my own heart and seeing what's going on. There's a lot of really, really powerful information coming in, and it's still kind of integrating. But it's nice to feel grounded right now in an environment that's completely, completely supportive to me in all ways. So that just feels really, really good. So yeah.
Right on to that. Right on to that.
If
I got tech things happening over here.
But if
trying to like,
if
it's
anybody,
multi-dimensional,
right, it really is. If anybody wants to reach out for a consultation, they can just contact me, theepichuman.com, fill out a contact form, or if you're on Facebook, just message me and I'll get to you that way, and we'll schedule a nice little talk and see what's going on, and see how we can move forward. So yeah, some good stuff.
All right, Danny, I appreciate it. I look forward to future collaborations and maybe see you in the flesh here in the next 2 or 3 months.
Sweet.
If you guys get, yeah, I would imagine we're going to be heading back that way, at some point.
Cool.
Be on the lookout. Be on the lookout.
Yeah, we got to go.
We got to go dig. We're hybrid.
We got to go crystal digging.
That sounds interesting. All right, bro. I'll see
Awesome.
you. Take
All right,
care.
thanks, Todd. You too, bud.
Peace.